Welcome to the Power Factor Show. Episode 104.
Hi, welcome to Power Factor. I'm Rick.
I'm Steve.
I'm Larry.
And I'm Caleb. And I'm back.
Yeah.
Welcome back, Caleb.
We found Caleb on the doorsteps. We thought we should do an episode.
I was randomly in Seattle for more than 3 straight days, so I figured I'd stop by and eat the producer's pizza.
There you go.
So this is episode.
He means that literally.
Literally eat pizza,
Yeah.
that's not some sort of metaphor.
Right. Okay.
So this is episode 104, our second anniversary issue.
And we're still here. We're still here after 2 years. 2 years of fun and frolicking, helping new shooters and those who will become new shooters to get interested in the shooting sports.
Starting internet fights with old shooters, too.
Well, a little bit of that, too. A little bit of that.
I was going to say, I think maybe what we might want to discuss is things that we learned or did over the last year and things that we plan on doing that you guys will see over the next year or so. Yeah.
I mean, I think, one of the things that one of the things that we said at the 1 year anniversary episode was that I said that I thought a lot more of the episodes would be shot at the range. That a lot more of it would revolve around kind of analysis of match performance.
Well, some of us did shoot more episodes at the range.
But I mean, I thought
others of us didn't shoot more episodes.
I thought that would be kind of the bread and butter episode. Would be us kind of standing around talking about how we approach the stages and stuff. But one of the things I noticed, especially over calendar year 2012, is that all of us were rarely at the range together.
Yeah.
There were very few matches, I think.
That's because you guys don't shoot shotguns.
Well, that's true too. But even IPSC matches when I'd show up, or IDPA matches when I shoot, a lot of the times the guys with the cameras and the microphones weren't there.
Right.
And so it just turned out we just didn't always have those many opportunities on match days. And a lot of the episodes that were shot at the range were set up, on non-match days to illustrate some, rule or something.
Right.
And that we just haven't done a lot of range episodes. But Larry's been here just a short time, and he's already done a couple of range episodes.
Yeah, we've done a couple.
So I think that's good. And going forward, I'm hoping in 2013, we're going to do an episode in the next couple of episodes. It might actually be on before this one about Steel Challenge. And that's something I'm kind of, re-excited about shooting or something. I'd never shot a steel match before, and shot one a couple of weeks ago, and it was a lot of fun. And my well-known dislike for shooting in inclement weather, Steel Challenge removes a lot of the stuff that I find the most onerous about shooting in the bad weather.
Like taping,
taping. There's no resetting.
No cardboard targets that start like this and slowly ED as the match goes longer and longer.
And so I'm thinking, the steel matches are the perfect winter sport. And there's also rimfire divisions, both pistol and rifle. Mm-hmm. So I don't even have to pick up my brass. Right. And I'm like going, this is great. I don't have to wash my magazines out in a mud puddle because you don't have to reload on the clock, Right. And I'm just like, I think maybe this steel deal is going to work out. So for the future, for 2013, I think I'm going to be shooting some steel matches. I mean, that's kind of the plan.
Does one year round.
They're going to do it at Renton now. Real Steel Challenge.
Right.
Not just the fun steel. They're going to do real Steel Challenge matches. And, excuse me, I'm just kind of getting over my annual winter cold here. But they've had the steel at the range for a while, and for about a year they've been doing these fun steel matches, which are Steel Challenge format, but they're not using the official stages, and they're not really scoring it exactly the way Steel Challenge does. So the fun steel matches were fun, but when they start up Steel Challenge, I think I'll be attending some of those.
That'll be even better.
I just got back from shooting the Steel Challenge down in Florida. It moved from...
I bet it wasn't raining, was it?
No, it wasn't. It was beautiful. So it moved from Piru, California, where it's been for the last 30 years, down to Manny Bragg, Frank Garcia's place down in Frostproof at the Universal Shooting Academy, which is pretty much like as in the middle of Florida as you can get.
Yeah.
And I love the Universal Shooting Academy, and I hate everything that's around it because there's nothing. I mean, you're in the middle of 100 miles of swamp, and there's gators. And,
there's a lot of sand mines around there.
yeah. I saw I was
work down there.
literally driving to the range, and I saw this big black pile of stuff in the middle of the road. And as I got closer to it, I realized it was a pack of vultures that were eating a wild boar that had been hit by a car.
Oh my gosh.
And so, of course, I slowed my rental car down and took a picture of it with my cell phone because I'm from the Pacific Northwest. And I'm like, that's cool. But Steel Challenge, it's a great match. I think participation was down a lot this year because when you went to it in Piru, which I'd done, it had a very state match feel to it. They would get 50 to 75 shooters that all shot at that club. That was their local club. Because it had all of the stages and they would come out and shoot it. So there was kind of a homer feel to it. And obviously, a lot of those guys were... They might have taken a trip to the Butthurt Locker about the match getting moved to Universal Shooting Academy. So a lot of those guys didn't show up. But Frank's Place is a great facility. It's a little weird coming from out here and shooting at Paul Bunyan where the berms are 15 feet tall. When you go down to Frostproof and the berms are like 6 feet tall.
Yeah.
And you're looking down your sights and you go, man,
if I go over the berm, these bullets are going down range.
Very easily, yeah.
So what is downrange? What's out there? Just
150 miles of swamp. Yeah, there's nothing around there. If you cook one off over the berm, or if you do what I did and skip a round off the top of a steel plate and watch it hit the top of the berm and go sailing into space, you're like, well, I'm glad there's nothing around here for that to hit.
Wow.
Yeah.
But no, it's a great facility, and so what they're going to do next year for Steel Challenge is they're going to bookend it with Pro-Am. So
awesome.
Phil Strader's big match, the Pro-Am that's down there, so they're going to have Pro-Am will be Friday, Saturday, or Saturday, Sunday probably, and then you'll have the practice ranges open up for Steel Challenge. It'll be Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, then Rimfire on Thursday, and then Friday, Saturday for the main match, which I think it'll be cool, and it'll kind of get that flavor that you're getting next year from all the USPSA Nationals being back-to-back in places with, I wanted to ask you about that. Are you going to shoot Revolver Nationals now that it's back-to-back with Single Stack Nationals? You want to.
It's in Vegas still?
No, it's in Illinois.
Oh no!
It's in Paso. Yeah.
When?
Right after Single Stack. Whenever Single Stack Nationals it's right after that.
I shot the Factory Gun Nationals, the first one, whenever that was, 2002, I think. And it was like 95 degrees and 95% humidity.
Oh, were you in Paso?
And I'm just like, I'm never coming back here.
It's the Midwest.
That's how it is.
You expect.
That's how it is in the Midwest. Yeah.
Well, and then it rained like 6 inches in the 24 hours after the match, after it being, dry and sweltering. It was hot and, wet and sweltering. Yeah. But yeah,
Because they split everything up for next year. So, production is going to be in Tulsa. They're going to have one in Tulsa. They're going to have
St. George.
Yeah, St. George and Paso. So they're going to have 3 different locations for the Nationals, and they're going to be all spread out. Mm-hmm. And I think, and I could be wrong, I have been not paying attention to USPSA other than I know that this has happened, but I think it's production and L10 are together, and then limited and open are together, and then Single Stack and Revolver are together.
Yeah.
Which would be
is surprisingly
logical.
We're not going to have Open and Revolver together?
Yeah.
I never understand the way they broke it up sometimes. I mean, it's very odd. But yeah, Single Stack and Revolver. And that was the format at the Factory Gun. Mm-hmm. It was production, limited 10, and Revolver. The same match, which seemed to make perfect sense. Mm-hmm. And then they started to... It seemed like the tail was wagging the dog. It's like we want to make sure that the top shooters can shoot every match in the division they want to shoot.
Right.
So let's make it these really bizarre and obscure combinations of divisions.
Yeah.
And I think it would make more sense, because the stages make more sense. I think if you've got 6-round guns and 8-round guns competing together, you can have a little more cohesive match. So that's a good idea.
If you look at the stages that they have at Single Stack Nationals, it's set up much more like an IDPA match in terms of the round counts. So you see a lot more 12 and 18 round stages and less, 30 round stages, just because of the design mindset of the guys out there, which makes the match a lot more interesting for wheelgun guys.
Yeah.
You're going to see, an 18 round stage.
But wheelgun guys are usually used to getting screwed.
Right, exactly.
Anyway, so.
They're not going to know what to do with themselves. They're going to go out there and be like,
wait a minute.
I only have to reload 3 times on this stage. What's happening? I'm so scared right now.
Yeah.
So that'll be interesting for next year.
So why don't we talk about what we've learned over the last year?
What we've learned over the last year.
I've learned a lot of stuff.
Let's hear, Steve. What have you learned?
You started this.
Let's just hear a few of the things that you've learned.
In terms of, so you guys can go to sleep for a minute. But in terms of shotgunning, I've been playing around a lot with different lead techniques and different methods of shooting. Just exploring different ideas and stuff like that. And I think based on what I've observed recently, and I've hooked up with some really good shooters, in that there's a technique called move, mount, and shoot, which is a technique where you mount into and we demonstrated this on the mounting and lead episode. But
one of my favorite episodes.
I'm sure it was, yeah. And one of your IDPA episodes is one of my favorite ones too. Yeah, we'll get to that. Yeah. But at any rate, the idea is that you mount into the you mount into the bird and break the shot pretty quick, and it seems that I've been doing that a lot more recently, and it's been working out very well. So this whole entire last year, from my standpoint, has just kind of been an exploration of shooting a shotgun and different techniques of doing it. And what I like is that I don't go out and just shoot skeet. I don't still go out and shoot trap or whatever. I'm shooting everything, and I'm trying to develop a technique that works everywhere.
Does that actually work? Because I feel like all of the guys who shoot shotguns at the high level are like specialists. Like you've got this guy's a trap ninja and this guy's a skeet ninja.
Right. And the methods of acquiring and shooting a target are different for trap and skeet if you want to be at the highest level. What I like to focus on is sporting clays and 5-stand, more of a dynamic. It varies from, station to station. So where trap, a lot of the guys are doing, and I don't want to get too buried into this, but doing what's called a swing through. And in skeet, you do a sustained lead. Those are 2 different techniques. And everybody shoots that way for those games. I'm trying to develop a technique that works in all games that works. It's not going to be like the perfect technique, but it's one that'll probably get you, 90,
so you're looking 95%. For like an 80%
exactly.
Solution that works
yes.
across the board as opposed to 100%
a specialized solution only works in one area.
Sense.
Yeah. So that's, I think now that I've kind of figured out in the last year what works for me, I'm going to start pushing that harder and applying it more to everything. So that's kind of what last year has been from my standpoint. I was going to also mention one thing, which is kind of interesting, and what I learned over the last year. The very first, or one of the very first episodes that John and Jay and myself did on the shotgun sports, we talked about buying a shotgun. And we happened to mention a company by the name of Joel Etchen, who I ended up, when I bought a new Beretta 682 this year, and I bought it through Joel Etchen. And Matt Smith, who's one of the representatives there, when I bought the gun, I contacted Matt. I had to wait about a month. Matt contacted me, and so we got 2 in. I picked the one with the best wood. And sending it to you. Well, it turns out that after shooting that gun for a few months, I had a problem with the 4-in wood on the gun. And
I guess it wasn't the one with the best wood.
Yeah. So, that's a good point. But at any rate, long story short, Beretta has kind of a reputation for defining things like that being cosmetic issues and not wanting to deal with it. So it was recommended to me to contact Joel Etchen and contact Matt and see if they could do anything. Well, I contacted Matt, sent him an email, sent him pictures, and he said, hold on for a minute, I'm going to get a hold of somebody from Beretta. I get an email back from him in about half an hour saying, contact Rick Gump at Beretta, he will take care of it for you. Contacted Rick, and true to his word, Beretta sent me a call tag, sent the gun in, they had it turned around back in 2 weeks, shipped it on their dime both directions, and it turned out perfect. So it's kind of one of those deals where, we recommend it before going through Joel Etchen. There's a reason for going through Joel Etchen is that they have a lot of pull in the industry. And when I ran into a problem, what from some other people said that you probably wouldn't be able to get that fixed, they have pull that they can contact Beretta, they know the right people to contact. and got it resolved. So I would definitely recommend that if you do think about buying a shotgun, go through Joel Etchen. And the good thing is that you're not paying extra by going through them. Their prices are really, really low. But they also happen to be one of the biggest Beretta dealers in the United States. So I wanted to throw that down. Thank Matt at Joel Etchen, and also thank Rick Gump at Beretta for taking care of it for me. I really do appreciate it.
Rick, what did you learn last year, or this year?
I learned, I think that I need a little kind of diversity in my life to maintain my interest. I shot USPSA. What's that? I shot USPSA.
I went that whole segment with Steve talking about his wood without making a crack. Thank you.
I shot USPSA almost literally every weekend from 1998 to 2010. I mean, 40 plus matches a year.
Mm-hmm.
And then I also shot IDPA 12 matches a year, at least the 12 matches at my club a year. And I spent all my vacations were all planned around traveling to matches, either driving down to matches in Oregon or Idaho, or flying down to Texas or Nevada or, Paso Park, whatever. And it just got to the point where it's usually, I guess you would describe it as burned out. I mean, it's just it just got to the point where I just didn't have the same excitement about it as I had for years and years and years and years. And I thought, I don't want to get out of shooting. It's not like I dislike shooting or I've, fallen out of love with the smell of gunpowder. But I wanted some other things to do other than just go onto the weekly matches to kind of re-energize myself. And that's one of the things about shooting the steel matches. And one of the other things is I bought a new gun. I used to buy, when I was a single guy, I used to buy about one new gun a year. And since I've gotten married 6.5 years ago, I think I bought one gun. And so it used to be I shot so many matches that the only time I would ever shoot a gun is if I could take it to a match and shoot it. And that was one of the things I liked about shooting 3-gun is I owned a shotgun, I owned some semi-automatic rifles, and I never shot them because I shoot in IPSC matches every weekend. So I started shooting some 3-gun just so I could take some other guns to the range. And I was able to shoot, I have an AR, I have a Garand, I've got a M1 carbine, and I shot all of those in 3-gun. And so now I've got a new 22 rifle, and I'll do a little more talking about it in the episode about Fun Steel. Because again, Fun Steel has a rimfire rifle division. So I'm kind of excited about the new sport that I'm going to get to shoot with my new gun. And so I've just kind of learned that I just, maybe just kind of being a little more diverse in the things that I'm doing in the shooting sports. And then I also see that we've got, with the new IDPA rulebook coming out, safety officer training has been suspended until the rulebook comes out. And I don't know what they're going to do about recertifying safety officer instructors or, revamping the whole thing, doing it more USPSA style with a traveling team of instructors. I'm not really sure how that's going to pan out. So I'm just trying to kind of go with the flow.
Wait and see.
But just, that's what I learned over 2012 is that I just I've gotta have some more things. And the other thing I'm doing, I know everybody's on the edge of their seats trying to find out, what's Rick going to do in 2013. But one of the things I've been doing the last few weeks is some experimental load development. And almost all the hand loading I do is loading in quantity to shoot my weekend IPSC matches. And
I need 300 rounds of 45 ACP.
Exactly, with the same charge and bullet I've been using for 10 years. Well, a guy that I used to work with who recently retired, I was emailing back and forth with him, and he happened to have 100 new 45 super cases. And I've been working on converting the pistol that I used to shoot in limited 10, since I don't shoot limited 10 much anymore.
My
6-inch 45. I just thought there's a perfect gun for 45 Super. The extra inch of barrel length gives us extra velocity, and the whole point of the 45 Super is boosting the velocity of a cartridge that's externally the same as 45 Auto. So doing the 45 mechanical work on the gun, changing it from shooting 170 power factor loads to like 240 power factor loads, just some springs and some other little mechanical stuff. And so that's another thing that's just, kind of a little diversifying, kind of going down a road. I haven't done much hand loading, like, loading 5 cartridges with 1 charge weight and then 5 with an incremental charge weight, that kind of stuff. I haven't done a lot of that for years.
Dangerously like work.
Well, but the thing is I used to like to go out in the garage, put on the baseball game, load a couple hundred rounds, but it's just, it's just doing this. I mean, there's not a whole lot going on up here other than just concentrating on seeing that you're not screwing it up. But there's some interesting stuff about load development that I like. I mean, just selecting the powder, and then your charge weight, your bullets. I mean, I'm used to using the black bullets because I don't, drive them at extremely high velocity. I've never shot the black bullets at 1,200 plus feet per second.
Hell, you may start shooting a different bullet here very soon.
Right. That's true too. Yeah. I've learned that there are ways to get bullets without having to buy them. That's another thing I learned in 2012.
It is official now, correct?
It is official.
I saw their banner on our website.
Yeah, so Rainier Ballistics is now an official sponsor of the program, so we want to thank them.
They're helping out.
That's awesome.
They're helping out us on the pistol side of the show.
I have one question: when do you guys start making shot shells?
I asked them if they're plating shot yet.
Yeah. No, I'll talk about when we're doing for the next year because I have some big news coming from that standpoint.
Wow.
Yeah.
So, Larry, what'd you learn?
Oh, man. I learned that all these skills we have are very, very perishable, very fast. Man, I was busy this year doing different things, shooting a little bit less than normal, somewhat due to the economy, not to be, a downer, but things are picking up, and I'm just going to start shooting more. And I've made a few kind of newbie mistakes caught on camera that we've talked about, in the show a couple times, and mag pouch too tight, can't get the magazine in there. I'm going to buy one of those magnets that Steve likes so much, which
apparently are legal now.
Which are going
legal or will be legal.
Well,
January.
Whether they are or not, in about a month from now, it's going to be very clear whether or not they're legal.
So you're going to glue a big gas pedal on your Glock frame?
No, because I won't be able to get it in the holster that way. So, the gas pedal's really cool. We'll talk about new 2013.
Yeah, we should have an episode.
We're going to have an episode just on the new rules for 2013 in USPSA. But I'm just going to shoot more. I'm going to just kind of keep it simple, stick with limited division, stick with the Glock for now, and I might do a few other things exciting on the reloading bench. I've got some plans, some designs for a viable case feeder for my square deal.
Really?
And so
a case
I might actually get to build it this year, and that'll be interesting.
So. Is it based on using somebody else's current case
well,
modified?
The problem is the mechanism that feeds the cases into the shell plate. And once you get that solved, how you feed the cases down the tube can be home built or...
I'm very interested in that.
Yeah, so that'll be fun. What else? That's about it for me, I think. I don't know. All I think of...
I learned this year, whatever, that I don't have the 2012. I learned in 2012 that I don't actually have the time to be on the Power Factor show, write for magazines, run my website, be a sales exec for a developing firearms company, and shoot and do everything and travel too.
So one of them had to go.
One of them had to go. Actually, what ended up happening was, in 2011, I shot something like 50,000 rounds, and I probably shot 35 club matches and 14 state or national level matches. And then this last year, I think I shot 6 club matches, and I shot 7 or 8 on majors again. And I think the most interesting thing out of that for me was I spent less time doing live fire, more time doing dry fire practice because, and even when I would go on the road for sales calls, like if I was going out to, Acca Creek to talk to Beretta, I would take my gun with me, even if I wasn't going to shoot, and I would dry fire in my hotel room and do all of that stuff.
Yeah.
And when I look at the comparative scores, so I shot the Yankee Cup in 2011, and I shot it again in 2012, and I picked up 150 points on my score, shooting a lot less live fire.
Right.
I shot Steel Challenge with a crappier gun this year than I had in 2011, and I knocked 5 seconds off my score. So the dry fire and the time that I spent really actually helped my shooting, even though I spent way less time shooting live ammo.
Yeah.
And then obviously I had to cut out the Power Factor show to a certain extent,
Obviously.
which makes me sad because I actually really like doing this. It's one of the places where I can, where I have more fun doing Power Factor show than I do writing magazine articles.
Yeah.
Because it's a different format. Things are looser here. I don't have to
just flows.
exactly when I don't have to talk about the SIG blah blah blah, and I love SIG. The SIG blah 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 shot 5-shot groups, and I use these 5 different ammos, and they chronoed at this.
Data.
Yeah, exactly. That's suspiciously like work and not what I got involved in this to do. For 2013, the big thing that I'll be doing is I just got a deal signed with Colt, so they have a new 1911 coming out. They did it as a limited edition this year. It's called the CCG, which technically stands for Custom Carry Government, but it has my initials, so I'm just going to roll with that.
We know what it really stands for.
What's neat about this gun is in 2010, I was at a writer's event with Colt, and it was like actual, intelligent gun writers, guys like Jim Wilson, and, luminaries of the firearms right, and then me. And I'm like, how the did I sneak into this thing? But at that event, Colt was...
I saw you on TV, I think. Did they cover that on Shooting USA or something? Was that a gun site?
Oh, yeah. I saw that too, yeah.
Gun Talk TV?
Could have been. But was it a gun site?
It was a gun site, yeah.
Yeah, I saw
it. So that was 2 years ago. They did that.
I remember that.
And they asked all of us there, what would you guys like to see in a 1911? And, it was stuff like, we want, and I was like, I want a wide blacked out rear sight, a fiber optic, or a gold bead front. That was before I switched over to blacked out fronts. But, either way, I don't want, I don't want unnecessarily aggressive checkering. I don't need forward cocking serrations. I don't need, basically, I wanted a gun with all of the stuff that you need and none of the silly cosmetic crap that people get on 1911s.
Right.
So this year they brought out the CCG, and it is literally that gun that we asked for. It's got a wide Novak rear sight with a blacked out, it's blacked out, no dots. It's got a green fiber optic front. It's no forward cocking serrations. It's not, the front strap isn't checkered, which I prefer an uncheckered front strap. I just hold on to the gun.
Just full size, all steel?
Full size, all steel. No full length guide rod. Yeah, see?
Gee.
It has all, it's good. Now, you would want an ambi safety because you're left-handed, but it's a single-sided, it's just a regular single-sided safety, beaver tail, commander-style hammer. It's all the stuff that I want on the 1911 and none that I don't. So, we're getting 2 of those, and we're going to shoot those all through next year in various matches. Probably, some IDPA, USPSA single stack, all of that fun stuff. And then, I met up with the guys from Colt Competition Rifles, and they're setting up one of their 16-inch 308s that they're making, and so I'll be doing some heavy metal with that.
Cool.
And I'm also probably going to be bouncing around the country again, but I will actually try to make time to swing out here at least, once every couple of months.
Well, you can leave the guns here with us. Well,
I'll leave a Colt for you, right?
Okay,
because I know you'll appreciate
it's interesting because did you catch the episode that we did in the Colt tour?
The Colt Factory?
Yeah.
I did not, actually. I saw bits and pieces of it and forwarded it to Colt so they could have a look at it, too.
Well, they've seen it, because all the execs that are in part of being able to air it, they had to approve it.
Yeah.
So it went to the top, literally.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Was that Colt Defense or Colt's Manufacturing?
No, I was not actually able to talk or film or show anything that I saw on the Colt Defense side, and yet I went through everything. And I'd love to be able to talk about it, but I can't talk about it.
They'd have to kill him.
Yeah.
So the Colt LLC, the Colt's Manufacturing guys are really good guys.
Yeah,
They're
in fact,
great.
David Galante, who set this up for me, apparently has shot with you before because he mentioned...
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
Cool.
But I was going to say that one thing, I mean, you were talking about different stuff with Colt, but I definitely sense with Colt is that they are definitely making, I mean, they have a company focused now to make inroads into...
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Well... And so the CCG it's priced right. So it's, MSRP is right at $1,000. So it streets for like $900.
Wow.
Which puts it right there with the SDI
range
Trojan
officer,
and the range officer.
Yeah.
So, all of a sudden you're like, yeah, I want to get an entry-level 1911 for competition, and oh, look, it says Colt on it.
Yeah.
And that's,
Well, besides the fact that it has a Colt name, but after going through that factory tour, and I'm not just saying this to be nice, but I mean...
Not just because they were promising to send us free guns all the time, and we want to make sure we get them.
After seeing the dedication of the employees and the amount of work they put into it, and going through that, I would not buy a 1911 from anybody else. Period.
Oh, no, and that's the thing is they really care, and that's one of the great things about Colt is they care. They have a workforce that is invested in the brand of Colt,
right?
And when you think about it, I was talking to Mike Guerra, one of their product guys, and they only make 250 guns a day. Like that's just 1911s. The civilian side only makes 250 1911s a day. When you compare that to a company like Smith & Wesson, which makes like 2,000 guns a day, so Colt really has the ability to be
focus on detail.
To be what Kimber was before Kimber sucked.
Right.
And
which they do.
They do, absolutely. Back when Kimber was a small shop making good guns and paying attention to detail, they used to make great 1911s.
Right.
So that's 2013 is going to be fun. Hopefully I'll be around some more. Probably not, but I'd like to.
Cool.
Okay, 2013 for you.
Well, like Caleb talked about his dry firing success, that is one thing I'm getting into big time. I think the next gun I purchase will be a SIRT laser pistol.
SIRT pistols are awesome.
Absolutely want to get one of those and just actually work on drills.
I thought you were going to get an episode with Mike Hughes as the guest. And
we're working on that. All I got to do is get a hold of him, and who knows, maybe by the end of the year we'll film an episode where we'll talk with Mike Hughes. I don't know if you guys know him. He's a local grandmaster and kind of a self-made man, and he's just...
Looks like Superman.
Was on top...
He was on Top Shot on the last... Season 2.
Oh, he was a long time ago.
He was the last episode... Last season of Top Shot.
Yeah. No, actually, no.
2 seasons. Technically 2 seasons ago.
They had season 4. They did season 4 after Mike.
Right.
And season 5 is in the can.
Yeah.
Okay.
And has not yet aired.
I guess I missed it. So.
No, you didn't miss much. Season 4 was crap.
Oh, well. But anyway, he's great, and he's like 150% on board with everything. So that'll be a exciting, fun episode.
See if you can get him to bench press you on the episode.
That will be difficult.
No, I don't think it'd be difficult.
No, not for Mike. No.
I'm under 200. He could probably curl.
He's like
that much.
Yeah.
But
while dry firing.
Yeah, I mean, he and I kind of started in this about the same time. Actually, his member number's higher than mine, so I guess I started before he did. And when I met him, we were both B class, and now I'm B class. Well, in production anyway. But he's Grandmaster, and just catapulted his way through it. I mean, and we shot our first Area 1 match we shot with him was 2006, and he was on our squad. We were all just friends on the same squad going, oh yeah, that was pretty good. Oh wow, look at Mike. Yeah, he's doing okay. And then we went, whoa, second place. He got second place with a whole match by just a sliver. He missed winning the match. We're like, wow, I didn't realize he was doing that well. And that was 6 years ago, so he's just doing that much better now, and he trains
like a madman.
That's all he does. He trains like crazy. Mm-hmm. He trains other people, and we'll introduce our viewers to some of his concepts and his school that, if you're interested, you can look into that. The laser training pistol that he developed it's a great tool, I think. I've played with one a couple of times, but I'm going to really focus on that.
We had one on the show, I think.
Yeah, we did.
Yeah, you guys
had an episode on dry fire.
Right.
Yeah, we had it briefly, and we're pointing at each other according to somebody.
Probably before episode about 10 thereabouts.
Feedback we got. If y'all are going to be pointing guns at each other, that's one thing, but I just think you should... Not that I could actually hear the guy, but the way it was written, it sounded like he had an accent like that, so...
Yeah.
I got shouted at recently for pointing an airsoft gun at someone during a photo shoot. I'm like, it's an airsoft.
And that's why
it is
we have
a photo shoot. That is why I have a toy gun.
Right. Yeah.
Well, I noticed. I was reading. I've been catching up on my back issues of American Rifleman, and every photo that is more than a side view,
remote camera.
Yeah. Okay. Good.
Yeah. We got
good.
I feel much safer now. Yeah.
I'm not sure who would be endangered if it weren't, but it's okay. That's good.
Right.
Yeah. But yeah, we're not, for 2013, we're not going to be pointing guns at each other no more. So just It's okay.
And which, incidentally, that's why we sit the way we sit. So I hold
that was something that we
I hold a gun this way.
Yeah, we actually,
Rick holds a gun that way.
Beginning, well, you and I did, we coordinated so that I would always be on your left. And
so I'm holding the guns this way, and Steve's holding the guns this way.
It was all planned in advance. But, yeah. So I was going to say, you guys are talking about dry fire, and I would say that when I was doing a lot of pistol shooting, I was probably dry firing 3 or 4 nights a week. Probably for about 20 to 30 minutes at a time. And I mean, I really found that helped a lot. I mean, I was not getting out, because that was during the big primer crunch and the ammo crunch and whatnot, and it was difficult to get ammo to shoot. But I mean, I would go out and do just a lot of dry fire, and I felt that it really helped in terms of just, keeping.
I got those little.
I remember being at your house, and you have got. I had metric targets around the living room.
Yeah. I've got a bunch of little.
Yeah, when we came over, the Magwells, Larry and I swapped Magwells
4 years ago or something.
But yeah, no, I as part of my family room, I had a array of targets that were always set up, which was actually an interesting conversations piece when my next door neighbor was applying to the FBI, and I had a guy come over and interview me about the character of my next door neighbor, and I have all these targets out in the room.
Nice.
Let's not talk about those, but yeah, which
all the bags of fertilizer.
I'm sure I'm probably on somebody's list somewhere.
Is that ammonium nitrate I smell?
Fuel oil.
So anyway. But in terms of 2013 stuff that we plan on doing, John and I have talked a bit about this. There's going to be an episode coming up here in the future on sporting clays. We're going to do 5-stand. John and I have talked about doing shotgun maintenance. We've talked about choke, what shotgun chokes are all about, and patterning. We might see if we can get a person who is a specialist on shotgun fitting to do an episode. So those are some of the things that you probably see for 2013 from the shotgun side of things.
Well, I kind of wrapped what I learned into what I'm going to do. What I learned was I need to be more diverse. What I'm going to do about it in 2013, I kind of already outlined, probably shooting some Steel Challenge. I'm going to continue the IDPA. We have our monthly club matches I'm still involved with. Rumor has it that we might have a IDPA bigwig at the Washington State Championship in 2013. So there's a push to make sure that, we have an extra specially good 2013 State Championship match. And so I'll, hopefully.
So are you guys doing it again this year?
I don't know yet. I haven't talked. The club that did it last year, my understanding in September or in July when they were done with the match, they did intend to do it next year. And I haven't heard anything about it since. I mean, I've spoken to the area coordinator. We had our club, we do every winter, I guess it is, fall, winter. We do a little year-end get-together of the club officers and talk about what we're planning to do for next year. And the discussion was just along the line of, yes, there's going to be a state championship, and where is it going to be? I said, I understand it's going to be back in Puyallup again in 2013, and so that's my expectation for 2013. And I still hope to be involved at least, as a safety officer or whatever. So that's what I'm planning to do for that. I'm eager to see what happens with the new rule book, assuming it's coming out here in the next couple of months.
It should be, what they said at Nationals was that it should be coming out after indoor nationals. So they'll shoot the indoor nationals on the current rule set, and then after indoor nationals, the new rule book should be ready to party, and that will give the clubs run-up time to actually implement the new rules and have them ready to go kind of before the major shooting season kicks off.
Okay. So I'm interested to see how that goes. Will there be, again, will we be recertified? Will there be, lottery to decide who gets to remain as an instructor? Is it going to be a popularity contest? I'm kind of interested in that. And just as far as USPSA goes, I'm sure I'll be shooting USPSA. Probably again not 40 matches, but I'd like to maybe get it back to at least one a month just to keep the old hand in. And like I was watching Larry's episode on the Kitsap Champ Series match. I shot 3 or 4 or 5 Champ Series matches every year for 10 years, and I didn't shoot a single one in 2012.
Oh, wow.
And so I just, it's one of those things where I looked and I just go, really? I didn't shoot a single one, and so it's... I
really enjoy it.
Yeah, and I do too. Was there a Northwest Challenge this year?
Nope.
No.
Okay.
Yeah.
And so just, stuff like that. And I think, just my involvement in the sport, I was on the executive committee, so I knew what was going on throughout the section. And now I'm off the executive committee and don't really follow it. I don't go to the website much. And so I go to matches just kind of like, well, it's a nice day, it's a Sunday, I might as well go out and shoot. But I don't have that same sort of kind of in-depth involvement in the section or the match schedule locally that I used to. So still going to try to shoot some of that. And, I think obviously I'd like to use the show as a vehicle for reporting on all this stuff we're doing, whether it's strictly, we tend to, in 2012, I think more than in past years, kind of went off the intro to competition shooting theme for more episodes. Yeah. Steve's at vacation and stuff, and I'd like to continue to do some of that stuff. That's just stuff that interests us about shooting in the shooting sports.
Well, I am going to Italy this year, and Bretta is based in Italy.
That would be a really cool fact.
There you go. Yeah. But yeah, I mean, that's what I'd like to do in 2013 is just stay with the show. And that's the other thing too, is I felt like the show to a certain extent has kind of taken the place of some of the time and energy that I put into shooting. I put it into the show now instead, which seems kind of weird because it's not like I'm really working hard here on the Power Factor show, but it's one of the things that I look forward to, and every week I'm thinking about what are the episodes going to be about, what's the topic going to be, and so that has kind of filled part of the blank in my life that that again something that where am I going to diversify my interest in shooting, and the show is starting to fill kind of part of that that
void.
Yeah, void. It's not really a void. It's just sort of like I just need something different to fill the space that I used to do by shooting matches every weekend. And doing the show has helped fill that. So,
and it's interesting because you mentioned, without getting too far derailed here, but the whole entire burnout thing, and that's pretty much what I hit last year. I mean, I got to the point that I was, and maybe that will be an episode at some point in the future, is maybe how to avoid burnout. But I mean, I hit the burnout factor after doing just seemingly too much, too long, and kind of like what you were saying, is I didn't want to get out of shooting. I wanted to do something different, and I kind of reverted back to where I all began with shotguns. But sometimes just to take a diversion like that and go off and do other things, which is not to say that I'm not going to be shooting, pistol stuff in the future. But I just, right now I'm focusing on other things. And you somehow caught me shooting a pistol there.
I got you on camera.
Yeah.
And speaking of diversifying and keeping it mixing it up, Rick still has to show me how to shoot some IDPA.
Yeah.
And so if we get some break in the weather soon, we're still going to do that.
It's easy. You go, you shoot, you don't have fun. I'm kidding. I'm really kidding.
No, I really do. I really do want to bring out the carry gun and just, which has 0 modifications as I received it from the factory.
You have a 4-inch Smith & Wesson Model 500? Is that what you're...
4-inch Glock 19.
Oh, okay.
You're close. So, yeah, I'm interested in doing that. So.
Good, cool.
Okay.
Well, yeah, it's been a great year.
It's good to see Caleb again.
It's good to be back.
Yeah.
Hopefully, I'll be able to come back at least a couple of times. And I want to say, and I'll steal this from Rick because he was probably going to do it. But I want to thank you guys for watching because if it wasn't for the people that actually watch this, it would just be 3 or 4 very dedicated shooters talking to an empty room, which is a little crazy. And thank you to everyone who's watched this, who've emailed and commented, and gone on Facebook, and talked about what a terrible person I am. We really do appreciate all of that. And
that
thank
could be a topic for an episode. All the terrible things that people have said about Caleb.
It's awesome. I'm totally on board for that. And also thank you to the sponsors. Safariland has been a great supporter of the show,
and now Rainier. And I would say also in terms of Hodgdon
gave us all that awesome gunpowder.
Right. Is that we're going to be doing, and we mentioned this before, but a Q&A with Chris Hodgdon again.
Oh,
so if you have any questions or whatever, get them in, and we'll get them to Chris and get them answered on the program for
Why did you make Trail Boss look like a donut? It does. Each little grain is
donuts.
Crazy.
Yeah. I was going to say in response to your comment about viewer email, I would say that probably the best satisfaction, or one of the most satisfying things, is that when we get a message or an email from somebody who says, I watched your programs and I learned this, and it allowed me to literally get a leg up on everybody else. I felt like I was literally going into competition already having years of experience. I think that's one of the most personal, satisfying things I think that we typically see. Sure. And that was the intent of the program, is to get it out there for people who are either beginning or intermediate shooters of getting some, information out there that they can leverage off of and feel like they're at least ahead of the curve.
Well, and also, too, that the episodes, I've also always thought that the episodes were, they're not like a standalone object, like a book that's been finished and you put it away, people come onto the forum, like onto the forum or the website or on YouTube and make a comment or ask a question. And so we're available every day to ask questions that anybody has about any of the episodes.
Right.
So, I mean, we'll still get an email question about something from episode
18.
5. Because, because the person has only started watching the episodes recently, you know. And so anytime if somebody, their first episode they see is episode 104, and they realize, wow, I'm going to go watch the other 103 episodes.
We'll start getting questions about...
and if you've got questions about episode 6, fire away. You know, it's not like a forum where, oh, that's an old topic, don't reopen that, you know. If you see something in an episode and you have a question about it, fire away. I mean, post it right there on YouTube if you're watching it on YouTube, or send us an email. But, you know, we're happy to keep discussing the topics that have been broached on the show.
I should also probably add that the content is always going to be free. You're not going to pay extra for it or anything like that. It's something that we enjoy doing.
Right.
We're not looking to make a buck off of anything. So, you know, it's always going to be free. It's always going to be available for you.
And that's the other thing, too, that was brought up on one of the episodes talking about sponsors and stuff. And it sort of ties in with the stuff that we give away at the trivia questions. We've had not really sponsors, but people who have contributed things to the show.
Right.
And it's sort of like in exchange for saying, here's this nice thing, we're then provided with something cool that we can give away to the viewers. And, you know, there have been a number of different vendors, some of the stuff that we've been giving away recently, the mugs and stuff. But, you know, we've given away a holster and we had some brass and just kind of random stuff. And I think that's kind of a cool two-way street. If you've got a product or something that you're trying to get out there and you think are holding it up and saying, look at this cool thing, in exchange for having it as a product that we can give away on the trivia question.
Yeah, more than happy.
You know, the more the merrier. Send us something. I mean, we've got, you know, like I said, we got some sample stuff from people who are kind of doing, you know, not really, maybe it's not their livelihood yet, but they've got a little business on the side and say, you know, hey, in exchange for plugging the product, you can give it away on the show. And we're always open to that kind of stuff. So, you know, if you've got something shooting related, whether it's a fantastic new earplug or, you know, whatever it is, get in touch with us and we'll be glad to give it at least a little, here it is on the show, and then we'll give it away to some lucky viewer.
But I would also like to point out that we will give an honest review.
Exactly.
Also,
that's true.
We're not going to go,
true.
oh, we got this. We're going to give it a glowing review.
Awesome.
That's one of the things that we said from the beginning is that the stuff that I don't want to say endorse or whatever, that we recommend is stuff that we have had years and years of experience using, and we would recommend it whether you got it given to us or not. It's stuff that we have, you know, personal experience with.
Right.
Case in point, you know, Bear Creek Bullets or whatever.
Sure.
They've never given us anything, but we recommend their stuff.
Well, now, I had mentioned that I just bought a new gun. I hadn't bought a new gun for years. And a lot of people complain that when you read a gun review, it's always glowing. You know, when was the last time a bad gun was ever made?
Why is that?
And, you know, a lot of the times, I mean, I'm well aware that people who are reviewing guns are getting that gun that they review at a discount price, or it's being given to them. A lot of people, they're not going to bite the hand that feeds them. They'll return a gun that's defective and not write an article about it, kind of a thing. But, I mean, I went out and I bought a new gun and I shot it and I have an impression of it. And in a future episode, I'm going to tell you all about it. And, you know, I don't see how it helps me or helps the viewers if I don't relate my experiences.
You know?
Full disclosure.
I think exactly is that. I mean, if something is sent in for evaluation test purposes, we are going to evaluate it honestly, because I think people deserve knowing the true, you know, information about something. I don't like the idea of somebody sends something in, you give it a glowing recommendation, and then all of a sudden, you know, I think it taints basically the whole integrity of the episode, where you get something given to you and then you glowingly recommend it, and then it's just like, you know, well, can I believe this or not? So
if we get a holster or something, I'll wear it for 2 weeks before I talk about it.
Yeah, and I've got a holster. We gave away a White Dog holster on a previous episode, and it was for a gun. It was just about the time that Caleb left the show, and he's the one guy on the show who had a gun that would fit in the
shield.
So we ended up giving the holster away without anybody ever actually using it. But then at the same time, the manufacturer sent me a sample for a gun that I own. Since I'm a lefty, it was I just said, send us just something. But if it's for me, make it a lefty 1911 holster, and I've actually used it. It wasn't featured, but it showed up on an episode. But in a future episode, I'm going to, ring it out like we did the Safariland holsters that we had in a previous episode. Yeah. So anything that we get, if you want us to review it, we will. But we're going to give it an honest review, based on our actual experiences. And
I think you guys deserve that. I mean, I think you deserve to hear the honest, truth about stuff that we look at. I just don't like the idea of coming up with a sugar-coated episode to make it sound like we really endorse something when we don't. I just don't think that's right. So,
but we're not averse to having stuff given to us either.
Right.
Don't misconstrue.
Our love
don't misconstrue our honesty for lack of avarice.
Everyone's got a price in there somewhere.
Yeah. Anyway.
Okay,
so shall we?
Yeah, let's do this.
All right.
Here's to another year or two. Here's another 100 episodes of Power Factor Show.
All right.
And one from our producer.
All right. So thanks for tuning in.
Thanks for watching.
Oh, no, wait a minute.
If you would like to leave feedback for the show, you can go to facebook.com/PowerFactorShow.
No, you...
Did you not change it?
You just let Rick off the
hook. They were
going
to save it for me.
You're trying to trap him, right?
All right.
So,
sorry, Rick.
Website's PowerFactorShow.com.
Emails at PowerFactorShow@gmail.com.
Thanks for watching.
Yeah, there you go.
Thanks, guys.
All right, see ya.